if you would go ahead and first state your name for the record.
Vetrica Hill.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. We really appreciate you being here tonight. As I mentioned to you before the meeting tonight, you have the opportunity to either give an opening statement or a closing statement. Which would you like to do?
A closing statement.
Closing statement, okay. So with that, we're going to start to my left, and Counselor McClinton is going to ask the first couple of questions, and then we'll just move down the row with our questions for you.
Okay.
Hi, Ms. Hill. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Got two questions. The first one is, I think it was in your packet that Counselor Driver sent y'all. What's your understanding of the desegregation order that the school district's been under since 1972, or been around that long in the county? And can you explain in brief, the 5 green factors that we're held accountable to with the DOJ?
Okay. So, from my understanding of that is to ensure that all students, regardless of their race, ethnic group, and social economic background, receive the same quality of education. Those factors include making sure that when you're talking about zoning, that there's no potential for segregation, as well as making sure all kids are able to get the resources in school systems. Let me see, it's a couple of other ones.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Everybody gets stage fright. The other one's going to be facilities. It's going to be, teacher representation.
Right.
And those are some of the things that I think a lot of the public doesn't understand. Here at Hoover, we have over 54 different languages spoken in the home, and you would think we're pretty diverse already. And this order is so old, over 50 years old. And I think a lot of people, I guess when you decide and you get chosen to work with your fellow board members, what would be, I guess, some of the things that you're looking forward to help us be released from that order?
So,
We're not already doing.
okay. Well, I think that would take a look. I used to work for the state, and for the longest, state of Alabama was on the RC consent decree, okay? So for a very long time. So one of the things that, as the school board, what we would have to look at is to make sure, did we hit all those requirements? If so, do we have the data to support that we have met those metrics? What does that look like? How we plan for the future as far as what are we going to do sustaining to make sure that we remain in compliance so we don't have to go back under a consent decree. So we'll have to take a look at all the factors, lay it out in a plan, check those boxes, and say, how do we have a long-term plan? This is what we did in the interim. What does it look like? And do we have the data to support that we have been consistently hitting those requirements?
Thank you. Good answer. Obviously, you've heard of RC3. It's been very successful, River Chase Career Connection Center. A lot of disciplines that are offered there already. Some of us, there's always the idea of, should you have a third high school, or should you build another RC3 2.0? What would be your thought process on that?
So, well, when it comes down to building another high school, I think there's a lot of things that go into play. That's something that you'll have to look at long term, like what we're looking at from growth. How fast are we growing? And does our current economic right now, does it sustain us? Is it reasonable for us to have another school? Then we need to look at, are we tracking our kids after graduation? How many kids are entering directly into the workforce? How many kids are going to college? How many kids are coming back into the community? How many kids only have maybe a couple of college credits under their belt? And then we can make a plan as to what we need to do and move forward. Do we build a high school? Do we offer more career readiness? Where are we trending? What are we tracking? So I think it just sort of kind of depends on what the data shows us.
Okay. Thank you. I yield my time to Counselor Sweeney.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Hill. Just a couple of quick questions. What would you consider the strengths of our school district?
I think the strength of our school district, one is the education in itself. I have a child that is a product of Hoover City School, and I can speak personally about the quality of education that she has, and I can also see, because this same child is graduating next month from college, so I can also see how the education that she got here helped her in school. We talk about that all the time, so a lot of her college classes, she was already introduced to just by attending Hoover City schools. So I know we have a great quality education. What was your second question? I'm sorry.
No, that was the only question I had. The next one is, what do you feel is the most important issue facing the school district? And how would you go about addressing that issue?
I think I wouldn't necessarily call it an issue, but I think just making sure that we are preparing our students. Technology changes, academic, making sure we're one of the competitive schools in the district. Hoover City is always in the conversation when you talk about quality education. So we have to make sure, especially when you're talking about school choice vouchers and things of that nature, we want to make sure that we're not losing our students to private schools or school choice vouchers, those magnet schools that are out there. So I think that's would be one of the biggest issues that we will be looking at.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Murphy, you're next.
Yes. How you doing, Ms. Hill?
Well,
So I just have two. What's your thoughts on regulations as it relates to books in the library, material in the library? What's your thoughts on that? And should they be regulated, and why?
I'm kind of down the middle because one, I believe in education, and I'm a reader myself. So I believe like if it's something there, a lot of times I've been in the library and picked up a book I normally wouldn't have, and I've exposed myself to some things that, have been beneficial. But when you look at it from a parenting standpoint, you want parents to have a say in what their kids are exposed to and when they are exposed to certain materials. So I think it just sort of kind of depends on what it is. Because you have to understand, and as a school system, you're trying to do what's best for most students. You're not gonna please them all, but you have to understand and respect people's individuality, parents, and what they want, what kind of material they do want to present to their child. So for me, I think it just sort of depends on what that material is.
Perfect. And my last one is, what's your thoughts and the impact if the Department of Education is eliminated?
I'm sorry.
What's your thoughts and the impact if the Federal Department of Education is eliminated?
My thought is, how, as a school system, do we handle the needs of all our students? Not the ones that are gifted, the ones who receive special education, and those that are in the middle. Are we prepared for that? I worry about the impact of what does that look like for us as a community and as a school system. It scares me to think about that, but I think that when you have the right resources in place, I think when you have the right people in place, I think that we'll be able to navigate anything. Hoover has done a great job as far as educating our students. I think that as a board and as a city as a whole, I think that Hoover will be able to devise a plan to sort of kind of navigate those uncharted waters to make sure that all kids still receive a quality education.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yield my time.
Thank you, Counselor Murphy. President Lyda?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ms. Hill, welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for your application, your interest in serving. You mentioned in your application diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, as being a priority if you were selected for the board. You're probably aware that the President, through executive order, has eliminated all DEI programs at the federal government level.
Mm-hmm.
In 2024, the state legislature prohibited by statute any DEI programs at state board of education, state agencies. Are you suggesting that the Hoover Board of Education should enact some type of DEI policy that would go against that which the state and the federal government is doing?
No, absolutely not. I think when you talk about things like DEI, I think you practice DEI without knowing that you're practicing DEI. When you're talking about a quality education for all, that's inclusive of all kids, regardless of their race, regardless of their socioeconomic status, regardless of their background. So although you're not saying specifically, like there's a law in DEI. I think that if you're going to say that you are a school system that is going to be inclusive to make sure that all kids are educated equally, that you're practicing diversity.
Very good. Thank you. And you mentioned school choice earlier, and you're probably aware the state is currently enacting the school choice bill that was passed last year, allowing children in failing schools to receive a voucher to go to a school who has opted into the program to accept students. You're probably aware that the city of Hoover City Schools rather, has not opted in. What are your thoughts on that program? And if you were selected for the position, would you be in favor of Hoover Schools opting in and accepting incoming transfers from failing districts?
So I think that, all kids should be entitled to a quality education. However, as far as you're talking about specifically Hoover City Schools, I think Hoover in itself has to look at what do we have the capacity to do? Are we able to meet the need of those kids? It's one thing to accept a child because they need a quality education, but can we meet the needs of that particular child? What does that look like for us as a school system where every year our funding is up or down, just depending on what's going on? So you have to look at it from a realistic perspective. And it's not necessarily a bad thing if we can't accept those children at that point in time. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you accept only a few children at that time. I think it has to be a situation where we look at what we are currently working with. How does it affect the children that are currently in our system? And will it be beneficial overall to open the doors to something such as accepting in those type of vouchers?
All right. So Ms. Hill, have you had a chance to attend any Board of Education meetings?
Not in the last 5 years.
5 years, all right. So I'm sure you're probably aware that there are times when there are disagreements or criticism where it can be a tense environment. Tell us how you handle disagreement or criticism, especially in a public or emotionally charged setting.
So, of course, everybody's different. We all have our thoughts and we're passionate about different issues, and that's okay. I think that we can agree respectfully. I think that we don't always have to agree, but what we have to remember is what's the mission of our school, what are our goals and objective, and is the decision that we're at difference about, is it for the greater good of those that we serve? We do it in a respectful manner, and when you're talking about who's in leadership or whatever, I believe I'm not military, but some people say that I am. I believe in follow policy and procedures, and I believe in the chain of command.
And how would you handle a situation where the board is divided on a major issue?
I think that goes back to the goals and missions of what we're trying to accomplish, the school, and what it is for the children. I think we, as the people that will be in charge, we need to take the egos out of it, because a lot of time that's what it is. And I think that we need to look and sit back and assess the situation and say, is this beneficial? And how is it beneficial? And it's okay to disagree, but as long as the goal is being met and the children are being served, I think we can overcome it.
Very good. All right, you are welcome to give us your closing statement if you're ready.
Okay. I typed it out, though. So give me 1 second.
And take your time. Don't feel rushed.
Okay. I'm at the age where I have to take the glasses off to see and put them on to see and all of the above.
Can identify with that.
So I have over 20 years of social service experience focused on children and family. I've dedicated my career to supporting those at the heart of our schools. I understand the challenges many families face and the importance of removing barriers so that every student has the opportunity to succeed. My work has centered around advocacy, problem solving, and connecting people with resources they need. And those same skills translate directly to the work that will be done with the Board of Education. I've also seen the impact of a strong education, not just as a professional, but as a parent. My daughter, a 2020 graduate of Hoover High, is set to graduate from Troy University next month. When asked about her college readiness, she proudly credits the education she received here in Hoover City Schools. That's a powerful testament to the strength of this school system. And I want every student in Hoover to leave our schools feeling as prepared and empowered as my daughter. I serve this community every day, both professionally and personally, and I'm ready to take that commitment a step further. While I have yet to work inside the school system, I am a parent who has always sought the best education for my child. I know what it means to want more for our students and to believe what is possible when schools and family work together. I bring the ability to advocate, to identify challenges early, and to provide practical, thoughtful solutions that support students and strengthen families. I'm a servant leader at heart, and I see this as an opportunity to serve in new and meaningful ways. It will be an honor to bring my experience, perspective, and unwavering dedication to Hoover City Board of Education.
Thank you so much. We're honored to have you here tonight. Great job. Thank you.